So as always, women can never get a break in video games at all. There's been controversy after controversy, and with a recent Star Wars game, it has been again the adaptation of a real actress put into the video game from the Western developer Ubisoft has just turned her ugly for no reason at all. We're gonna take a look at that and see all of the stuff that's been happening.
Hey, what's up, guys? Riff here. So today we're going to go over some more drama happening in the gaming industry because there's some more woke nonsense being pushed onto gamers. Who could have saw that one coming?
Oh, wow.
Well, there's definitely
What a
a
surprise.
very noticeable pattern, especially among Western game developers, where they are making what seems like intentionally unattractive female video game character designs as opposed to...
I like that this picture right here, by the way, is from a alpha. This picture here is like from an alpha test of a video game, of a Korean video game.
Eastern studios that are making these more conventionally
My
attractive
God.
looking characters. And it seems especially odd when these Western studios are taking characters that are supposed to be representative of real life actors.
Good one is,
and they
I mean,
seem
I
like
don't know.
they're downgrading their appearance in their video game form. And that's something that happens with the upcoming release of Star Wars Outlaws. This is a game that's coming out in August.
Are you guys excited for Star Wars Outlaws? I haven't watched the trailer. I haven't really looked at that much. But I'm gonna be real. I have not bought a Ubisoft game since Assassin's Creed 2. I don't think that studio can make good games because they rush everything and they have weird standards on their checklist. It's all soulless and boring. So I wonder again, is anybody here going to play it? No, nah, not even a little. No gameplay, so no hype. It looks decent, but I'm not Star Wars fan. No lightsaber wielding character. What? How can you have Star Wars without any lightsabers? No, you gotta be kidding. Who in their right mind thinks Star Wars and thinks no lightsabers? What do you walk around with a gun? What do I punch people? Not kidding. That is dumb. What's the point then? Might as well not even call it Star Wars. Like, what's the point? What is the point of this game if it doesn't even have lightsabers? Like, when I think about Star Wars, I think about lightsabers and the Force. I want to be an evil guy and crack lightning and drag people with Force and stab them with shank them with a lightsaber, you know? That's what I want to do. I don't want to use a gun. If I want to use a gun, I'll go play Helldivers or GTA or something like that. I don't know. You know, why would I use this?
And we've been getting some more previews.
Leeching off the
including
IP.
A preview.
Classic Ubisoft. Also, remember, we're in 2024. This model looks so much like they have spammed smooth on it. If you are a 3D, if you know 3D, I bet you would agree that it looks like a good model, but I bet it would be way better because they've kind of like removed a lot of details by smoothing it out. It's awful.
Of the main character for this upcoming game. Now, a lot of people are
Where's the
taking
light
screenshots
daggers?
of this character and making
Gotta
fun
have
of
a
it
long dick.
on Twitter, and I have to say, guys, I'm very confused with the
no
outrage on
daggers.
this one. No, seriously, I mean, what's wrong with this character? It's a very handsome man.
Isn't that freaking Mandalorian basically that though? Yeah, but Mandalorian is a bounty hunter, isn't he? I mean, like, listen, I like Mandalorian. I like the story. I like watching it. But I'm talking about a video game. Like, I feel like in video games, there's a difference between consuming a product as a media when it comes to movies compared to video games. If I play a Star Wars game, personally, I expect it to be Star Wars in the sense of lightsaber and the Force. I don't play Star Wars games. I wouldn't play a Star Wars game to walk around and do a dating simulator. I wouldn't play a Star Wars game to start doing my next SimCity build up and build my Star Wars planet. The same is that I wouldn't play a Star Wars game where I walk around with a gun and shoot my like weapon around. Nah, it's ain't for me.
Correction, ladies and gentlemen.
And this game isn't for
is a
you,
woman.
but there
Now,
is an appeal.
all jokes aside,
That's what I'm saying. This game is not for me because it doesn't make sense to me. For me, it doesn't make sense that Star Wars shall use anything but lightsabers and the Force. Bounty hunters are like small percentile, or like in the story, as far as I remember. But everything like walking around with a gun all the time just isn't it.
Here, okay? Here's why a lot of people are upset with this design and also are making fun of it, because this is based on a real life actress. Here she is. What happened? We have this versus this. How does that happen unless these developers are intentionally doing this? Here is a side-by-side comparison. It seems very, very intentional at this point. And things seem even more offensive when you have downgrades like this versus the male counterparts in the same game looking like this.
So you see this. They look exactly the same. Do they not? Now we go back to this. Do they look exactly the same? I'm gonna be real. If you didn't tell me this woman was her, I'd not even see it. I wouldn't even see it. Different hairstyles? Do you think her nose, like all of her eyes, nose, and lips and teeth are looking exactly the same? Like this doesn't look the same. Different hairstyle. That's just like bangs. I don't know. Like this doesn't look the same to me. This doesn't look like the same woman at all. Oh, Erlen. Okay.
You might recognize Cameron Monaghan from the Shameless series. Look at the character that's based on his appearance. They look very similar. It makes absolutely no sense why there's such a difference in how the male characters are made versus the female characters. And if you compare them versus Eastern Studios.
And here we have another example. Look at this. Look at this. This. I mean, this is the East. This is like Eastern. Look how they do it. Look, we cannot even talk about expression at this point, but because this is Eastern adaptation of real models. Look how they look. They look exactly the same. I can see it. They definitely look the same. And then we go to Western. What the fuck is this troll shit?
That are making various characters based on real life human beings, you can see the big difference between them over here versus over here. There's something very, very intentional about all this, and it's very strange to say the least. Now, of course, a lot of people are looking at the prices of this upcoming Star Wars Outlaws, and they're saying it's ridiculous that those are the character designs we're getting for a game that some of the bundles are up to $130. I understand.
$130? I mean, Ultimate Edition, Golden Content, Sabek, Shark, and Rogue Infiltrated Bundle, Digital Art Book. What the fuck is this? Is like a deal? What is this? So do you get like a physical item? Because if you're getting a physical item, that's completely fine. Nothing wrong with that at all. Like if you're getting an art book and some physical item, that is fine. $130 because they produce it and send it to you. Like that's fine. That's a normal thing for like collector edition and stuff like that. But this shit. Digital? Nah, fuck off. Okay, all right, okay, we're not getting into... If that is digital, then shut up. But here, this is the only thing I care about. $110 for Game Pass and 3 days early access. Oh. This is why piracy will become more and more of a thing in the future. Like, this is why people will start having enough. This is crazy. If you buy this for $110, you deserve to get fucked in the ass like it by Ubisoft, because this is like nonsense. It is a scam to buy a video game for nearly double the pricing of what it should be. This is the quadruple A section of a bugged, unfinished product, but the price point is so high. with extra bundles to really get that early access nonsense. I'm not a fan of this at all. I'm not gonna buy this game. I mean, you can buy this game if you want it that much, but personally, I dislike this practice a lot. I can understand in many ways that they're trying to increase the pricing of things because of cost, etc., etc. But even regardless of the cost, why are the CEOs and the bigger ops and everybody in these gaming companies going out with billions at the end of the year? I wonder why. It's because these games are making billions every year. So in the end of the day, I don't think there should be an increase on the cost of these games. It's just the fact that, you know, they're just being greedy. And also in this day and age, in 2024, we're having so many good titles, so many indie titles, so many titles coming out that are cheap and great and amazing. And all of the triple A or quadruple A that Ubisoft released recently were just doo-doo. Doo-doo, not worth the price, waste of money, waste of time. And if they keep on coming out with these pricings for games that's just not worth it, they're going to start seeing more and more people are going to slowly stop drifting away and not buy this and ignore it because they're not getting the item that is worth the pricing. Now, I will say, if a game comes out for $100 and it is the quality and the gameplay of Elden Ring, then it's worth it. But the problem is that these AAA games don't come out with the quality of a $100 game. It is full, it's lacking content, it is buggy, it is outdated in many ways, and it is soulless. These things are produced too quickly and they don't really have too much focus on the content provided. I don't care, again, about the pricing of a game. It's about the fact that every time any of these AAA studio price a game like this, it comes out shit. It just comes out shit.
Understand these are bundles, but we're going way beyond AAA pricing. We're getting into like quadruple A pricing at this rate. And
you guys are really being critical about stupid stuff. The price, the trailer, the way sucks, but comparing to different games and the way MC looks in 480p picture. I agree about what you're saying, Erlen, in the sense that you cannot compare a 480p picture. But the problem I have is that I'm seeing more and more focus toward like women, a female character in video games in the Western audience, always being degraded and constantly barraged with nonsense of critical thought of that they need to be this, they need to be that, now they need to be ugly. It's so much. And then you look at the difference between how the translation over a real model to a virtual model in a video game in the East, and then you compare it to the West with multiple examples, are just like completely awful. Like the East managed to do it perfectly and even like try to make them look greater, while the West always pushes down like the look of how women should be in video games or should be in real life, would be whatever. And it's just tiresome. And I just see this and I think to myself, like, god damn, it must be so tiresome to be a woman or a girl playing video games, because this is always the topic. It can't be just like this is a translation of a model, or this character is what it is. It always have to be about beauty standards or look or do this or that and that, and it's tiresome. And when I see models from the West being translated again over from a real life model to a video game model, and it seems like to me that with multiple examples that it's getting worse, then what kind of example does this set? I just don't like it. I just don't think it's fine. I think it's tiresome. So it's just weird, and I don't get it at all. The real life model look very similar. Look at their eyes and look at her mouth. Her nose is identical. I feel like you can see some similarities, but if you didn't tell me that was her, I wouldn't even notice it. I think that this happens with a lot of gaming models in the West as well, because we have had multiple examples of this, and it keeps on repeating, and that's the problem. It's not like a one example thing. It's not one and done, and you can sort of see the similarities. It happens with many things where they literally make them ugly. And the people working behind the scene have kind of said that in the past as well. I think they said it about the... what's that game again? They did say it about Fable. I know that, but I don't know if that had a real life model to it. There's like some other games that happen to it as
A lot
well.
of people are saying this price is not worth the quality of the character designs that people are getting. There should be no excuse for this kind of stuff. And if you look, a lot of people are quoting.
No. So you think I'm talking about that? No. I think that the focus that people are setting, that you're mentioning right there, Erlen, is the problem. I don't give a that's the problem, that this has to be always the conversation. This has to be this and that because of these changes they do. And it can't be just that the model exists the way it is. And it can't be just that this is a perfect translation of a model itself, like a real life model. It always has to be back and forward with this little game.
Some of these promotional tweets and saying
have
some
to do
very important
changes?
things.
I don't think they have to do changes.
Community manager behind this game. So here's one post saying the
They want to
community
sad?
manager
Oh, so
explicitly
bad. It's so
stated
bad.
they hate white male gamers. So Ubisoft should rectify that or my wallet's closed. Also, it's a Ubisoft game, guys. It'll be half off or more in a month after it releases anyways. So what exactly are individuals like this talking about? Well, they're referring to Shauna Jones, who is the community manager for this Star Wars game. Now, why are people very, very upset with her? Well, you can see views are 100% mine. Well, what are those
Look at
views?
the poster. Okay.
Well, it's a lot of anti-white, anti-male, and anti-gamer sentiment. Basically, if you combine those things into a Frankenstein-like supervillain,
God.
white male gamers basically ruined her life. Basically, she wakes up in the morning, stubs her toe. It's the fault of white male gamers.
Yeah.
Let's see some of the tweets.
The
in this
white man
collage
caused
here.
all of
If
this.
you name search white, just
White
like on
man
any
bad.
other community manager or developer in the Western video game industry, you're going to find a million results if you type in white or male or gamer, and you can see some of these tweets.
I didn't even finish Fable 3.
I know the industry itself is maturing, but the gamers.
If you hate your customer, you are in the wrong business. These people hate their customers so much that they want to make them feel they want to hurt them. That's the thing. They want to do change that they don't like because they don't like the consumers at all. They want the consumers to follow their view. Like, what is this like? Even the camps are full of white people. How do you hire someone talk like this in public? Like, I feel like America in itself has a lot of problems, right? And because of its culture, it has a big issue with race. How do you hire somebody that is a racist in America? I don't understand that. How can somebody be blatantly racist in the public and be hired as a community manager for a video game company? That is ridiculous. What is going on?
Man, they need to sort themselves out. Ooh, that looks painful, you cracker. Be safe. No more middle-aged white men. Like, even the camps are full of white people. This is probably because you're a white male. I was put off by the main character you play as being a white male. Celebrating diversity, really? All the hosts are white men. Let's see some more down here. Oh boy. White privilege. Gamer boys ruin
Yeah, we need to see a
online games.
high quality model.
Please don't tell me gender isn't an
480p
issue in
picture.
the games industry when you are a white male. If you're a white dude complaining about diversity being raised as an issue, then people are going to keep raising the lack of diversity until you...
Listen, here's a real fact. This might blow your mind, but white men and white dudes are humans. And a black man and a black dude is human too. And the same goes for East Asian man. He's also human. And you know, Arabs? Yeah, Arabs are also humans. So if you think there is anything different between humans just because of how they look, then you're stupid. Okay? You're dumb. Stop talking. You shouldn't be a community manager. This is weird. This is really weird.
Yes, there is a lot here, okay? For someone who has a very public presence,
So tired.
people are going to find these tweets eventually, and it does not look good. You are intentionally blocking off people as customers. You're telling them you're not welcome here, whether you're white, you're a male, or really if you're
I'm not
just
exactly
a gamer.
sure what you're
These
referring to,
community
Erlen.
managers for these projects are showing their open disdain for you. And if you have any self-respect, if you fall into these categories, why would you support a title like this that hosts a community manager like this who hates you? They hate you. And they're making it very clear on social media. Well, she would go private for a couple of days, but she has returned despite staying private. And she made this tweet saying, "I'm back and I've decided I'm not going anywhere. The folk attacking me..."
If you're being harassed, you can block them, yes. But if your name is in the public and people are starting to harass you in real life, now there's a big issue. Now you're dealing with a psycho. Now the question is, why are you being harassed? Are you being harassed because you're racist? Or are you being harassed because you are just have an opinion? Now those are two different things. In my personal opinion, if you're being harassed, you gotta go to the police. Like that's the first thing you gotta do. But if you are being a racist openly on the internet, and you does it with your own name out, you have some balls. I don't know why you being racist like that. Regardless, you're just stupid. Well, here's the thing, Ali. You can be harassed for unreasonable things by unreasonable people. Oh, I know. Of course I know. Do you know how many mental people I've seen on like the internet, even just on Twitch itself? People are crazy. People are mental. People are really crazy, and I can understand that. There is no excuse for anybody doxing anybody, calling somebody on for their internet opinion, or starting to harass them in real life. That just all of that is disgusting. All of these things are illegal acts. They're illegal for a reason. It's a crime, and we can't sit here and nitpick and think that, oh, but they did this, they said that. It's still a crime. You can't. It's not fine.
And using me to push their agenda are not going to win this one. Well, you're not going anywhere, just like the copies of Star Wars.
Racing will keep existence about long keep talking about it. So here's the funny thing, right? I think majority of my life, I have never thought about racism. I have never thought about this can be racist. This is racism. This is blah, blah, blah. Because in my country, everybody's equal. Nobody talks about this. When we talk about somebody, we talk about their family's culture. We don't talk about how they look or what they do or their typical things they tend to do. We talk about like food and traditions. But I noticed the more I've like spoken to at least Americans, and the more I'm starting consuming more American media, that I feel like when you grow up in America, the thought of racism is always behind your back, because there's so much discussion about this all the time. It looks like that to me. Now, I'm not American. I've not grown up in America, but maybe the internet and the people that have talked to me has given me a much like more like they beefed up the topic a little bit. That might be the case, but I'm just going to say it again. Like when I grew up, while I was a kid, while I was a teen, nothing was really, nobody talked about racism. Nobody felt offended. We were talking about just things. And when it came to like where people came from or how, or just, we never talked about how people looked. It's just like where people came from, it was just about their tradition, their culture, and their food. Like, where are your parents from? My parent is from Iran. My parent is from, from China. My parent is from like Eritrea. And whenever we talk about that, it's like, what do you eat? What kind of Eritrean things are to do? And you go to them and you see their culture in their house and stuff like that. But they're all still Norwegians. It doesn't matter how they look. There's nothing we say that are directly to degrade them just because of how they look. But I feel like whenever I'm talking more to Americans, I feel like every single thing that you can talk about somebody that doesn't look exactly like you is racist. Talking about a culture, embracing a culture, looking at like speaking about how just generally anything. It's just all the back thought of everything being racist is always behind there, and it's weird. I feel like, I'm gonna be real, I feel sorry for like, in a way, because it seems so exhausting that everything has to turn to race and not the fact that people are people and there are things going on. It's very odd to me. I still can't grasp the factor. I'm trying to be respectful with many things, and I'm trying to understand how many people are like, how many people in the world are thinking. Because like, I think that I could say a lot of things that people would, Americans would find racist, but I hold off myself because I know that I don't want to be disrespectful or make anybody feel unpleasant. But those things I think would offend an American would not offend anybody in my country at all, because these back thoughts don't lay down the flooring at all. Do you get what I mean? That's at least, it does seem a little bit sad, but yeah.
Won't be going anywhere either, because nobody's going to be buying this game. You can already smell you can see the writing on the wall here. You know this is going to be a big flop.
Polish people?
However, don't worry.
Yeah, but the racism toward Polish people is that they're efficient. They're like super efficient and great. I don't know what kind, like, it's just a term that Polish people work hard. That's the thing is that, yeah, I don't know. Like, I feel like every racist thing being said usually are focused toward degrading people, or everything has to degrade people. It's just
gaming
awful.
outlets like Kotaku,
they took their job.
Their back.
I'm not that used to those things.
Today saying evergreen from last year, Star Wars Outlaws backlash proves we need more women protagonists. Now, of course, that's with a little asterisk at the end of that, because when Kotaku says we need more women protagonists, they mean only a specific type of woman protagonist. And of course, you can see some of the replies saying, this isn't a video game guide. Don't make me call your boss. Guys, come on. Of course, that's a reference to the fact that Kotaku's managers told their writers to make more game guides and less political charged type articles, which of course caused several, or at least one, senior editor to resign. Here's another comment saying, no baby, no, we need a kick-ass game that isn't scared of featuring an attractive female protagonist. Lara Croft was a great female lead, and most people had no issues with her. It's the characters with political agendas that are pissing people off, and keep this name in mind for later in this video. But moving forward, of course, they're talking about more female leads. Okay, how about Stellar Blade, Kotaku? Are you going to promote Stellar Blade? No, of course not. In fact, the only time we've seen game journalists talking about Stellar Blade is when they're claiming that their character design of the main protagonist, Eve, is bland and a doll sexualized by someone who has never seen a woman. Now, curiously, not that long ago, yesterday in fact, the Stellar Blade team released a photo of their developer team, and you can see a very significant female presence. We already kind of knew this, but it's really funny seeing it in action.
Yeah, it looks. Look at that. That's nice.
With all of the women on the team. Of course, people who are upset about this kind of stuff, I mean, what are they going to say, right? They're going to say that they're brainwashed by the patriarchy or something, or they're traitors to their own gender.
Yeah, I do think that I think that the internet blows things out of proportion a lot with regarding any topic. I do think that people are being very childish with anything. Wait, let me cook for a moment. Okay, go ahead. I do think the internet is being very childish with many things. I think that a lot of people are shut in and don't really know how to socialize at all. And because they don't really experience the world in any sort of way, their view of knowing what is acceptable and what is not turns very backward. And that is why you have people going crazy compared, when it comes to race, this and that, looks, blah, blah, blah. You know, it keeps on going. Same with politics. It keeps on going like this because people are always, because the way people, basically what I'm trying to say is that the people that are shut in, the ones that are spending a lot of time on the internet, do overblow things out of proportion a lot. And the way I assume people behave, for example, in America, is not going to be reflected in real life compared to how it is on the internet. I think on the internet, this way out of proportion. and people are going crazy on like any sort of matter. But that doesn't mean it doesn't exist. I've seen like videos from New York and stuff like that, and maybe there's different states that are reflective of how the internet behaves, but maybe it's not every place is like that. I do think America, North America in itself, like Mexico, United States, Canada, all of these places are massive. At least United States and Canada, these places are super huge. So there's a wide variety of people. And I don't think that, because it's such a big place, I don't think that every kind of a cultural thought is everywhere there. You understand what I mean? I think that what we see on the internet is like sort of you know, is a negative thought brought a little bit over the proportion. You know, a little bit crazy. Polish women are exotic for Americans. Are they? Really interesting. Is Poland the femboy meme true? Yeah, Polish men. The problem is that Poland is the most like anti-LGBTQ country in Europe. They do not accept gays at all in any sort of way, but yet a lot of the men are the best physique for being a femboy. It is true. Oh god, it's very sad. It's because they're a very Christian country. They're very heavily Christian, so they don't accept anything really there. But yeah, horny women and gacha video game. Tomb Raider won't be Boom Raider. I haven't played Tomb Raider in ages, so I don't really care about what they did with her. IGN France got owned so hard it was beautiful. Yeah, I mean, France. People have become man children. They have. They're starting to complain about everything. Nobody enjoys their life anymore. They're all complaining and crying. It's mostly people are attention starved and just want to scream about anything. Western games have less conventional attractive characters and are more woke because they have less diversity. In terms of writers of these games, it's opposite of the used to be going to fully white men, which was bad, to now basically a bunch of either white or minorities women, which is also bad. So not causing this shift, and this issue isn't as prevalent in other countries. Let me think about that for a moment. I mean, I think you're somewhat right. I think that I feel like, so this is my actual thought on these kind of things. I do feel like their checklist, they have a checklist on many things. And I feel like it often also goes to the same, like it always follows the same kind of like path with everything. And I don't know, like look at Celebrate Team and look at the teams of the Western games for this purpose of diversity. They have lost diversity. Yeah, I agree actually on that. I kind of agree on that. Yeah, there's not enough people within the back company. It's like it's more of the same people always working behind some of these AAA studios. But I bet that if you ask this guy about like some questions, I bet he would have a different opinion than this guy, for example. I think that's what you kind of mean, right? Their opinions are basically the same thing. Is that what you're thinking about when you say diversity? There needs to be a mix of people that are part of creative entertainment. Give the people who can see this is a bad idea or people right there. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's what I thought. It's not a... Thank God, by the way, that you're talking about diversity in mindsets. And you're not talking about diversity in the sense of looks and being in genders. That is the problem that I think the West has kind of like fucked up. Is that they bring diversity in visual look, which doesn't fucking matter. It doesn't matter if the guy is a guy or a girl, if they're black, white, Chinese, Arab, brown, whatever, it doesn't matter. But the fact that they have different ideas, that they can work on making, creating entertainment and critique each other and have spiral all these instead of having the same type of thought process. If they think the same things, why are there two of them? You know what I mean?
Or something like that by making this character design.
I fully agree.
But anyways, moving forward, We're seeing a lot of people.
I want to see now a HD picture, because I do think the lighting here is bad. It is a low P picture. She smiled. She kind of looks stupid with a smile. I want to see a proper picture of this.
Complaining about these posts, pointing out
hope they show that.
Very big change up between these designs right here based on this real life actress, where this individual says, "Oh my God, you people are effing insufferable." Where you can see the reply saying, "Nobody is saying make every protagonist like Stellar Blade, but at least make them look like the actress.
some
to
reason.
Go out of your way to downgrade is kind of weird," which is
blame the
definitely a
industry.
very fair comment. It is weird.
Just look at the gameplay. Can I see? Can y'all pin me down a moment where I can see her face HD? Can you give me a timestamp of when I can see her face HD?
Downgrade these character designs. It's just odd. It seems insulting to the person you're basing it on. Here's another one saying,
give me a hammer and a nail and I'll do that.
I know devs ruining beautiful women is insufferable. But moving forward, here's another post saying, "What happened to you, Ubisoft?" With
see,
this,
they're all using the same photo.
Comparison of characters from 2014 to 2024, where someone quoted that saying, in quotes themselves, "Why don't they make video games I can fap to anymore?" There is a...
I don't think it has to do about fapping. I think it has to do that listen, if you're looking at an ass for 20 hours straight, that might as well be a nice ass, right? If you ask a MMO player why they play a female character, it's because they have to look at it for 1,000 hours straight. There's a reason for it. The thing is that people would like to look at something that is pleasant, something they like, because they are looking at it for hours and hours on end. And that's the thing. It has nothing to do. It doesn't even have to be sexual. Like if it's too sexual, I think it's weird. But yeah, is this it?
Get off.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Get off.
Oh my God. How did they get this picture? What did they do?
Anyways, Daddy.
Get off my ship, Jalen.
Give me a chance. You're gonna have to trust me. It'll be dangerous, risky. But if you pull this off, you'll never look over your shoulder.
No, okay, I'm convinced. She's pretty. I think she's pretty. I need a comparison side by side, but I think she looks fine. Like, look at this. Look at this. How did they get this picture? What did they do? What the fuck is this? How? Okay.
Very weird projection among a lot of Twitter users who are upset about people complaining about character designs. They always say stuff
This is what I mean, guys. This is exactly what I'm talking about. Why do this focus have to be about women all the time? There always has to be an issue about girls when it comes to video games. It can never be that this is just a girl. They always have to, everybody has to find a reason to hate it. It is, dude, it sucks, man. I'm sorry for you girls. Like, I swear, I feel bad, like, because this is tiresome. Like, nobody want to listen to this shit all the time. She looks pretty as hell. God damn, if it wasn't a Ubisoft game, I'd buy this game now. Listen, I'd buy this game right now.
Like, oh, this is porn now. If it
does suck. It's freaking annoying. Of course it is. It's the topic every week. It's probably so exhausting.
It's a more attractive character design. Why aren't you, you only want characters you can fap to while playing. It's very strange, the fact that these people don't know the difference between either...
Listen, if you want to remove all the women in in my games and just make them all Conan the Barbarian, I'd be fine as well. I don't give a shit. I just want to look at an appealing character. Like, I don't give a shit about their fappable or not. I just want to look at something cool, something appealing, something I can, because I'm playing the game for hours and hours straight.
Attractive video game character designs
So
or
she got the late
service.
70s styling fashion, which is actually really like about it. I do think her design looks good. She's cute. She's cute. This is like, she's all right. This looks really good. I think this is all right. This one, I feel it's a little bit weird that she looks so different in every photo. Like, what is going on? I don't know why this happens, but yeah, I think she looks good.
Versus hardcore pornography. And the fact that they're thinking about these sorts of things when they're trying to criticize people is very strange. And like I said,
Every game,
projection
every
on
time,
their
yep,
behalf.
never stops.
However, we have another game to talk about. Another beloved IP getting crapped all over, and that is Tomb Raider Shadows of Truth. This should have stayed in the shadows, if I'm being honest. So
this post here is going to talk about how Tomb Raider Lara Croft now is feeling bad of her actions, and she's going to stop raiding tombs, and she's going to redeem herself. Now, why is this game still called Tomb Raider? I don't know. Why did they decide to target Lara Croft and not just let her be Lara Croft? I have no fucking idea. But here we are.
what happened here? Well, let's see this tweet. British adventurer Lara Croft will transition from being a raider of tombs to a seeker of truth.
That's not what they want. What they want
as
to.
Evil Hat Productions and Crystal Dynamics seek to redefine the Tomb Raider series in order to
Their
escape
word was worded
its
very bad. Okay.
colonial past. My God, ladies and gentlemen, colonial past, as users have pointed out, the game had dinosaurs in it. And you're talking
going
about
to
a
return to
colonial
raiding
past.
tombs.
It's a
Oh,
video
that's what I
game.
like.
Can we please just play something without this
You're telling
garbage?
me what we're gonna get into now is just bullshit? The question is, did they actually word it bad, or are they backpedaling? Are they backpedaling after bad response? The last Tomb Raider games haven't been really about that. Oh, smart. Okay.
Well, let's read their statement that they made on their official website.
All right, keep that in mind.
Tomb Raider series to escape its colonial past.
Thank you, Given, for telling me
Raiding
that.
as depicted in
I
the
didn't
original
know.
Tomb Raider games and stories involves going to ancient tombs and historical sites of different civilizations and acquiring artifacts. It operates on the assumption of finders keepers that grants raiders with the means and the drive to claim ownership of artifacts regardless of whether they have any historical or cultural claim to the treasure. Later games released in the franchise have started the work of addressing this by having Lara Croft acknowledge her past mistakes and try to understand and show respect for the cultures and communities she comes into contact with. She has also worked to reform raider culture. Raider culture, that's very important to talk about, ladies and gentlemen. Raider culture is prevalent throughout all of society. We definitely have to address that. And raise the awareness of her peers. Lara is no longer decorates her mantle with mystic artifacts. As a raider, she prioritizes seeking the truth. Much of this game is inspired by her humanity, struggle with heroism, and her tenacity. We believe that all three aspects are an important component in creating a game that celebrates history and culture while acknowledging the respect and work required to live in a world wounded by colonialism. In this game, we seek to continue in that work alongside Crystal Dynamics by creating a sandbox for you to tell stories that address colonialist themes in play and create your own stories of respect and support for the people and cultures your seekers encounter. Ladies and gentlemen, can I just play a video game? Can I just play a video game where you're a Tomb Raider?
No, you can't play it. Now we know this. They didn't mean what he's thinking about, but just generally, no, you can't play games. You have to think about all these politics and all of these issues in the world before you can start clicking the play button. It's not about fun anymore. It's about what I think and what I care about. It's what about the developer care about and what their issues with the world is that you're gonna think about now.
Just taking cool artifacts in a fictional setting.
It doesn't seem that this was only badly worded. I feel like in a way feel like this wasn't that badly worded, but there might be. I don't know. Like, I feel like they backpedaled and changed the idea because they saw how the response was on the internet. Because this again was like an article published about their future game, and they see that the response is super, super negative. They might have just backpedaled and said that, just shifted it in a bit.
Absolute garbage virtue signaling. That's not.
How did they badly word it? Because you can see that it says that she also worked to reform raider culture and raise the awareness of her peers. So if you read this line, you could maybe think to yourself also in a way that maybe she wants to get back into raider culture and start also like you know, beef up her peers as well, the people she's working with, instead of doing whatever she's doing now. But because of all this extra shit, it's kind of like gaslights the idea of coming back to raiding like tombs and shit, you know. That might be it, but I feel like they backpedaled.
Not going to help anyone, not going to change anyone's minds.
All they had to say was we're rebooting Tomb Raider 1 to 3. Yeah, pretty much.
This sort of a lesson to be shoved in their face. They're probably beyond saving to begin with. This is absolutely crazy. By their own
I think it's a tabletop RPG. It might be with the art style. It looks like it.
Like a super villain. Okay, it's very, very strange that they're trying to do this. But let's move on. As Kirsha would point out here in this tweet, she would do some digging and find some of the people responsible for this upcoming release.
Oh no.
Now you can see she highlighted here some of the consultants on this release, and you can see an individual named Sahoni. Well, let's check out Sahoni's account here.
Tony, these nuts. Is that a furry?
The Red Wolf with a furry profile picture in background. Interesting. So Sahoni the jabroni would have a lot to say, and they announced publicly that under an NDA they're allowed to say that they are working on this Tomb Raider game and that they are very excited about this. This team has been dedicated, professional, kind, open to conversation and feedback. And I think most material, at least for me, created a work environment that is both comfortable and fun for folks with experience with colonialism the world over. They also paid me. Big plus there. Awesome. So you not only get to virtue signal, but you're getting paid.
I really feel bad about sane furries getting bundled with freaks. I mean, you're not really sane if you're a furry. But I do get what you're saying, that there's a lot of furries out there that are great, like individual, that are just chill, that just likes these silly fursuits and stuff like that. But they are chill and they're nice and they're doing great. But there's a lot of like furries that are super disgusting and nasty and super wild and weird. And they do kind of plague all of the people that are kind of all right. I wanted to say normal, but you know, kind of right.
To virtue signal to an unwanting audience. Okay, let's see what else they've said.
It is a shame.
Well, here's some...
like my view on furries was like always whatever until I heard the stories about the fur cons and stuff like that. I don't remember. I don't remember who I watched, but I remember somebody explaining like 3 of the first fur con. And man, I think so on one of the fur comms, they ordered pizzas and they jizzed on every pizza, and like a bunch of people did that, and they let the pizza stay there somewhere in the fur con, and people ate it. And then when the people, the organizers left the FurCon, and the people that own the building, they had to go into a court case nearly because the whole building smelled like piss and shit. There was piss and shit in everywhere, on every wall, on a massive fucking like building, like a massive fucking place, a con spot, you know? It's just, I don't know, like all of the weird stories I heard, it's just like, it sort of ruined my perception of furries in general. But I played VR chat and I talked to a lot of great kind furries and stuff like that. So I don't really care that much, but you know, there are some weird boys out there, like everywhere.
Anyone on Blue Sky, I don't know what they're doing, to be honest. That's like the biggest cope
platform. It is disgusting.
It's supposed to be like the Twitter killer. And literally people go there when they're afraid of getting canceled or criticized on Twitter. So they go here in their little echo chamber, but they say this. Note I use anti-colonial versus decolonial because the tenets of decolonialism require concrete action and actually
community
push
has bad
against
apples,
the
true.
ideas of symbolic and hollow gestures.
Sometimes just
My
more.
game is a game. I can talk about racism in academia, colonialism, and the value of intangible culture, but that ain't work. I can introduce ideas and ask people to stop, consider, and listen, but that ain't the work. At most, it's a discussion, and that has value by a measure.
Ooh.
But it ain't the work.
Ain't the work.
It's not concrete.
It ain't the work.
Very brave, stunning and brave
Wow.
stuff. Here's another tweet from only
It ain't the
about
work.
a month ago saying, reminder that if you followed me for game design or politics, I'm a furry that loves sucking D.
Damn.
And I'm going...
Dude, he just says it right there, man. He just like, dude, that ain't the work, man. That ain't the work he's looking for.
to post hot pet play adjacent art of my secondary fursona that I got for my birthday. With appropriate filters, by the way, but it's coming, and you should be prepared.
I bet it's coming. I wonder if whenever people hire them, they see all of the shit they say, man. That's always I wonder about, like, because I feel like when you have a social media account tied to shit, I do feel like your employer should look at what you're posting. Would you hire this man? Would you hire this man? Would you work with this guy? Because I don't know.
We have one developer that's like halfway normal. Like, is that too much to
Halfway
ask for
normal.
at this point? Can we get a developer that isn't hating the customers that they're supposed to
Yeah.
be making the games for, or is a complete...
Yeah, I think he's just being a little bit of a silly boy. At least he's not racist. You know? Like, this is the thing. You can be a furry. You can be down bad for some D, you know? But if you're a racist, you should probably not work in the field, right? You should probably not work on entertainment or work with people. Like, that's just my thought.
unhinged psycho. Like, what is going on? Like, I don't care if this is tweets made by someone or blue sky, whatever post they call it, an average user. But like, this is a game developer who is saying all these things tied into the amount of importance they find their own work to be and their own political views to be in the process of being a consultant for this game. It just shows that these are the kind of
100% they get rid of these guys off this. You think so?
What is normal or acceptable, and it's a joke. We all know it's a joke, and this is apparently not anything new for Evil Hat Productions. By the way, they have been doing this kind of stuff for a while, as pointed out by this tweet right here. So you can see for one of their Cthulhu RPG from a couple years ago, they of course had to sample the works of Howard Phillips Lovecraft, who they say is a racist and anti-Semite. And they say all of these things about how terrible he is and how basically you shouldn't be looking up to him, and his stories have like this dark element to them because of who he was.
And I feel like every time people degrade try to look down about somebody that literally made a genre, people that made art, people that wrote books that people look up to still, and they try to find these small little things to belittle them and make them not seem as great as they are. It sounds like they're like very jealous to me. I always think that they're like super jealous. It's like remember the Rings of Power, whenever they were changing Tolkien's kind of world into a little bit and doing their own story and not really following up with whatever Tolkien would have kind of put in his world. And even if they wanted the diversity, there's many spots they could do that, but they didn't read any of Tolkien's cross, so they don't even know what's going on. But I feel like even them, they thought they could do better than Tolkien. And I think every time I see writers do these things, it makes me think that they're just jealous because they will never be like this. They will never create anything as great as them. Pity.
A person, and yet they base an entire IP
To be fair,
on it.
he was. But I think that when it comes to an art, you should look at the art further than the artist. right? You should not really, you need to always think also that when these people were alive, it was a different time. It was like this, how people thought and how people behaved was completely different. And I wouldn't even say they were great. Like, a lot of it was bad. But if you live in a community, like even you, this day, if you grew up with like your whole town being racist, you would also be depicted as a racist, wouldn't you? Like, I think that's just the case.
Work because they're
Charlie
too
Chaplin was a pedophile. I have never heard that. Is that true? No way.
lazy and they're too unimaginative to come up with their own story.
Ew.
So despite the fact they want to chastise Lovecraft, they're still going to sample his work and use him
Even
to
first
create
time?
their own.
Oh, okay. I don't know enough about this guy. What I was referring to was kind of a broader thing. I just feel like you shouldn't really, what's the, like, do you, even though you guys know a little bit more about him, right? Don't you feel like this is a little bit, like, do you need to add this? Is this necessary? Do you need to really add this as in content and consent? Like, I don't know. I feel like they could left this out.
That shows you the level of honesty that these people have. That they're really quite disingenuous at the end of the day. Because when it comes to a choice of making
If you want to look it
full
up, that's
stand on
fine.
something,
But
they won't
I
do
feel
it
like it's
if
not
it makes
needed.
them have to do more work. And that's exactly what happened with this situation right here. But as Mark Kern points out, more consultants ruining tabletop Tomb Raider this time. Neither the content editor nor the designer seem to care much about the game design or staying true to Tomb Raider. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much the summation of everything going on here. They don't actually care about living up to the legacy of this beloved IP. All they want to do is basically use this opportunity to infiltrate into this franchise.
Oh, Disney was
and
a
then
creep too?
virtue signal
Oh, yeah,
and
I've heard
inject
that.
all of their own woke agenda into this IP. And it's really sad to see. And hopefully, once again, we see another project like this fail. Because if they continue to fail eventually, and I'm maybe coping here, but eventually, these companies will finally start to realize, man, this woke nonsense in these games doesn't sell the games. Man, it's actually costing us a lot of money. Maybe we should move away from this and go back to how things were about 15 years ago. But that's, of course, just hoping. But for now, that's going to do it for this video. I hope you guys all enjoyed. As always, feel free to share.
Well, it's good that they kind of, I feel like this guy is on this for too much. Like, I think this is so weird. I think he's a little bit weird. But anyways, I'm glad that they kind of went back on this and said that they're basically just doing Tomb Raider 1 and 3 again. She's going back to Tombs and doing her old stuff. Because I did see the new Tomb Raider game, and they didn't really look like Tomb Raider at all. They looked like you were just going on an adventure. Like, I don't know. Like, it looked like just casual adventure games. But
Your thoughts.
I do think, again, that all of the focus on women in the gaming industry nowadays, it's been such a high topic on everything, is very exhausting. And I do think that I'm glad that this is not happening to Tomb Raider, but I do think it's very annoying whenever people take an old IP and they change it for their own, like, narration view and take someone else's craft and change it for themselves. I think it's kind of cringe and it's just not needed. But overall, I actually, if this is a tabletop game, I won't probably play it. But if they make a PC game of Tomb Raider and you're actually raiding tombs, I might be interested in that, because when I looked at the older Tomb Raider games, they were more appealing to me than the current ones that are out. I don't know. There's not a lot of Indiana Jones games out there, and for some reason, I think that kind of idea is always fun. Tomb Raider X Dark and Darker. Let's fucking go, dude. Yeah, let's shank Lara Croft. Why not? If you haven't played the most recent trilogy, they're really good. I own all of them, but I've never played them. Tomb Raider. Yeah, I own Tomb Raider and Tomb Raider Rise of the Tomb Raider. I own all of them. I have never played them. When did I get these? It doesn't even say. Oh, I got Tomb Raider in 2015, and I got the Rise of the Tomb Raider in 2017. Never played them. But I do want to play a lot of older games that I haven't touched in a while. Like, I've never touched. soon. I got like Middle Earth, Shadow of War, and Shadow of Mordor very recently. And I might play those off stream at some point, but yeah. Anyways, good ass video. That was good.